All right. We had got a walk done this morning. We did a little bit of work for some food because I knew I was going to make breakfast and it was going to take me a while to get that done and eat food and get everything set up for the morning. So she had a little bit just so that she wasn't super hungry first thing off the bat. But she should be thoroughly hungry right now and ready to work. Look at that. She's ready to go. So, like I said, we worked for a few minutes. I'm going to use this chair so I can sit sideways and you can see what we're doing. Sometimes a stretch is just a stretch, but sometimes that big stretch, especially when it's right in the morning, isn't I'm happy to see you. Hi. One thing I'm going to make sure I'm doing is even when I'm sitting, she is not going to get any rewards while she's up on me. She's got to have her 4 feet on the floor. But the very first thing we're doing is we're working on the word Y-E-S to tell her that she is making the right choice, because we can't teach her anything if we can't tell her what we like that she's doing. And I can't remember if I went over this with you at all, but just in case I didn't, I would rather you have it here again. So if I ask her for a sit and then reward her for sitting, you can see she jumped. So I didn't actually mark when her butt was on the ground to tell her that that's the right choice that I wanted her to make. So to do that, I'm going to make sure my treats are away. Every once in a while, if they're in your, excuse me, hiccups. Every once in a while, if they're in your hands because they were already in your hands, it's not the end of the world. But for the most part, when you're giving her cues, you want the treats to be away, and we'll go over why that is as we go. So the word comes first, nothing in my hands. Yes. Then my hands move and she gets food delivered. So it's a couple second process. Got another little half piece, but I'm going to put it right back in there. So with my hands up. Yes. Good job. Good job. And like I said, we've already been working on that a little bit, so she's already got a little bit of the idea. So the next thing we can work on is praising her for eye contact specifically. So you'll be able to see her head go to either side. I've got rewards in both hands, and I'm going to hold them out to the side. And all I'm going to do is wait. I'm not correcting her for going for that food. I don't have a problem with that. That's not the point of the exercise. But I am going to give her chances to make eye contact by paying attention to her. Yes. And the second she made eye contact, she gets the reward. So let's load back up and do the same thing again. This time, since she's really interested in that hand, I'm actually going to put kibble in that hand and a high value raw kibble in the other hand. She's still equally interested in it. Yes! But it takes her half as much time to figure out what I want. I heard it called the theory of halves, where each time you work on it, it gets twice as easy, essentially. So if it took her a minute to get it the first time, the second time was likely to take her closer to 30 seconds. It's not an exact science, obviously, but it's a rough idea of where dogs' brains are. And usually at some point in there, you'll have a time where they've been keep going halves, and then they'll struggle a little bit. Yes! So what you can't see from there is that was a little slow on my part. She was looking kind of to the side for half a second, but looked right back at me when she heard the word. So timing is everything. It is everything she's doing, from her body position to where her brain is at. That's what you're marking with that word. So you have to be specific with your timing. And that's one of the things, like I mentioned yesterday, that I want you to be watching while you watch her, is the timing. And I'll have videos absolutely of from my perspective so you can see what she's doing, where she's looking. Yeah. Yes. I started to say it, but then she looked away. She's figured out there's food over there too, so she's got to explore that. See if it takes her less time this time than it did before. Yes! Good girl. Try doing it with it in a different position. Yes. So, obviously that word YES just means she's making the right choice. So right now I'm using eye contact as the password to say, hey, that's what I wanted you to do. But what eye contact does is it's actually engagement training. And what is engagement training and why does it matter? 1 second. Yes! I knew it was coming. There we go. So, what is engagement training and why does it matter? When you want to work in public, especially, but even if you want to just take her on a peaceful walk, is it easier to go out with, I always use toddlers as an example because dogs' brains are about the age of somewhere around a 3-year-old, I believe, if I remember correctly. I don't know as much about children. Dogs are my thing, so I don't know where their developmental skills lie, but somewhere around a 2 or 3-year-old. So they have different intelligence, though. They are significantly better capable of staying and working on duration, and they're a little bit easier to teach. But the basics of that, let's backtrack. My ADHD meds have not kicked in yet. I only took those about a half an hour ago. Fun facts about me. So the point of engagement training is that when you're out and about, she wants to engage with you. If you go out and she's at the end of the leash and the only point of you being there is the fact that you're stopping her from doing what she wants by holding the other end of the leash, then you're not going on a walk together. You're not going out together. That doesn't mean she can't go do other things. And that's the awesome part about engagement training, is we're not telling her, stay focused on me, and that's the only option. We're telling her, hey, checking in with me is beneficial. It's going to earn you rewards. It's going to be good for you. And over time, she will also help her figure out that it'll keep her safe. So if she's nervous, she can look to you. If she's not sure how to proceed in a situation, she can look to you for guidance, because her automatic habit is, I'm going to look to mom. And that's one of my favorite parts about training, because all of this is, obedience training is awesome. Obedience training is great. It's important. It's needed. It's a foundation. But you don't want to have to micromanage her at every decision. If you go take her out, I mean, even in my front yard here, and every 10 seconds you have to call her back, then she hasn't learned what it means to be outside with you. She's learned how to come, but she hasn't learned what it means to be out with you. Training isn't obedience. Training is real world expectations. What do we actually want her to do when we go in the real world? Yes. So there's a different picture. She made eye contact. I'm going to reward. One of the things you'll notice is I'm not rushing. The word comes out of my mouth. Yes. And then we deliver it to her. So one of the fun ones is, so yes is a marker word. It marks the specific point in time where she makes the right yes choice. It's also what's known as a continuation marker. Not that you specifically need to remember these words, but just the general. Sorry, my throat is being mean to me. So, a continuation marker is yes. That she should continue doing whatever behavior it was that she was doing. So if I come over here and I ask her for a place, even though she doesn't know what it means, I did have her go on this yesterday because that was a little bit of confidence building we could do yesterday right off the bat. You notice she's still going on a little slow. Yes. Yes. And we haven't added a word to it, and I'll go over that in another piece of the video break. But yes means stay there. It means we're going to pretend she's on there. If I say yes, I'm going to walk into her and give her a reward. If I say break, that still means she gets some kind of reward, but it means it's the end of her command. For most of the time, break is going to mean her reward is freedom and love from you. Every once in a while, she can get a reward on her break, but officially it's a termination marker. It means you're done. You can do whatever it is that you wanted to do. Hi, cutie pie. Yeah. So, right now you'll notice pretty much every time she's making the right choice, she's getting a reward. One of the things with eye contact is she can sit there and stare at me as long as she wants, but there is no way in heck that I could possibly feed her every single time she looked at me. So what's that? That is called a variable reward system. When every single time she makes the right choice, Ophi, come. Yes. Right now I knew she'd do it because she did it earlier just on accident, just by hearing her name and there being food available. But that's not actually how we want to train a come. We want her to be able to respond to it. But I forgot my train of thought. Oh, variable versus continuous reinforcement. So if every time she makes the right choice, she gets a reward, that's great. But if you need money, and you know you can always go to the button on the wall and press the button on the wall and go boop and get $100, how much effort are you really going to put in knowing that you always have the choice to go press the button and get $100? If you're 4 miles down the road, are you going to hoof it back and press the button for $100 when you know you could also just walk back and get $100? Or are you going to work harder for it if you don't know when that button is actually going to get you something? That's the variable reward system. That's the same way gambling works, where you have to put the coin in and pull the lever before you know if the slot machine is actually going to give you anything decent. So when we start training, it's more of that continual, every time she makes the right choice, she's getting a reward. But as we go, we're going to move towards not needing a reward every time. So I want you to make sure you're looking at how we're kind of transitioning that, because we don't want her to be reliant on food. That's part of the reason we have the marker, because then food can be out of sight and she doesn't know if she's going to get it until she hears the word. So she can make eye contact with me all she wants, but she's only going to get the reward sometimes, which actually makes behaviors far less likely to go extinct. If you know that for the past week that button has given you $100 randomly when you press it, if suddenly it doesn't give you money for 2 days, how likely are you to keep pressing it? Whereas if it's giving you money every single time you pressed it and suddenly it doesn't, you're far more likely to give up on it faster because there was a sudden switch. Whereas if it was already a gamble, not knowing if you were going to get it, it gives you that little extra bit of, well, maybe this time. Well, maybe this time. That's called avoiding extinction. And that's one of the things that variable reward system, yes, does. Good girl. So, let's talk about the two biggest ways that we're using to train her. Two biggest methods. Number one is luring, where the treat is in my hand. You can either stick it in between your fingers, or my preference is sticking it kind of under my thumb there so that she can smell it, she can lick it, but she can't actually get to it. We can use that to guide her all kinds of places. Yes! We can use it to guide her into a down. Did it once yesterday. Let's see if she can get it. Nope. Yes. So that's way number one. But what if you can't guide her? Like when we make eye contact, I can't force her head in my direction. I can put a treat in front of my eyes, but then that just teaches them to look at the treat. So like you were seeing earlier, what we were doing was capturing. We're taking the split second she makes the right decision and going, yes, that, and paying her for it. The other version of that is halfway in between both, which is shaping, where you're paying her for getting closer and closer to the right behavior. And that's what you were seeing with us working on this over here, where I get her on a little bit, yes, and I can pay her for getting closer to what I want her to do. One of the ones I saw earlier was teaching a dog to put a ball into a basketball hoop. Yes. You don't just go right for the end behavior. You work on holding things first. You work on dropping things into an item. In this case, she was working on into a bucket. From there, then you can transfer that to working on the basketball hoop. But everything is in little pieces, and that's what shaping is. You're essentially playing hot and cold, which you're kind of doing for everything. So, yes, that's the behavior I want. I want her to get on and sit, break. So we're going to make sure she can do that 9 out of 10 times before we ever add the word. Yes. Break. Good. The other thing I'm doing is I'm introducing that word B-R-E-A-K. For that one, she doesn't know what it means. So all I'm doing is I'm getting her used to when you hear that word, we're getting up and moving. In the future, that'll be the word that releases her and says, hey, yes, it's actually time to go. Break. The other thing you'll notice about that is that one is higher pitched and a little bit happier. So everything else is yes. Sit, down, place, and then you get to break. And it's a little bit higher pitched, it's a little bit more excited. Sometimes I have trouble enunciating that when I go a little higher pitched. I have to repeat it a second time, but that's okay. Yes. Break. But until she can get on there 9 out of 10 times with very little effort, ideally I just kind of go swoosh, and she already kind of makes it on because she's used to following my hand on there. So right now her nose doesn't have to be right up to the treat for her to get it already. Yes. Break. But once she can do that, then we can start adding the word, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit. All right, I tried filming this once, but figured out my mic wasn't working, so good thing she's still hungry. So what we were going over was how to add a word to the cue. We've already practiced that for a couple minutes now, but you can still see what that looks like. So when we're working on training, there are 4 steps to working on any command. The acquisition phase, where she has to learn what we want. So if I want her to come onto this spot and sit, then she's got to be able to come onto that spot and sit. I'm not expecting anything else from her. She doesn't have to do any of the duration, any of the distance until I add a word. So once she can do it, then we can add the word, and that looks a little bit like this. The word is going to come first, and then we're going to guide her the same way that we've been doing, one input at a time. So the word is going to predict the lure, and eventually you don't need the lure, and she's almost getting there. She's here and there. Ophi, place. Then I grab some snacks. We guide her on. Yes. Break. And then release her same as before. So the pattern to her looks the same. The only difference is there's a word at the beginning now. It's her job to figure out what does that word mean, or it's more my job to teach her. I could keep saying place all I want. If I'm not showing her what to do, then it doesn't mean anything to her. It's the showing her what to do and getting her to do the action and then rewarding the action that matters. Ophi, place. So there's our neutral stimulus, is that word place. That means nothing to her. Then the food lure that makes sense, yes. And rewarding her in position, which is positive reinforcement. Break. Positive reinforcement is part of that quadrant of operant conditioning. I've got plenty of people who know it, plenty of people who don't. So I always go over that just a little bit. Positive reinforcement means adding something, whatever it is, whether it's pets, treats, getting to see another dog. It's something that is added in order to make the behavior happen more often. So what reinforcement is let's do that more often. So we'll add that neutral stimulus, place. She started to move. Yes. Yes. I can even add a little duration here while I'm waiting. Break. Good girl. We'll do that one more time, and then we'll show you what the other thing it's brand new, and we worked on that again. a minute ago, but I'll show you what that looks like. Ophi, place. Holding my breath. Yes! We're going to jackpot her for that. Give her a whole big handful of food. Good. Break! I dropped that one on the floor, so I'll let her go grab that one. Ophi, come! Yep, we're not there yet. All right. That was my bad. We'd been practicing a couple times off leash, but she hasn't found the treat. There she goes. All right. But I wanted to show you the leash pressure game. Dogs have what's called an opposition reflex. Whatever pushes on them, whatever pushes or pulls on them, they naturally want to go the opposite direction. So if someone grabs your leg, you're going to go, nope, you can't have it. Dogs do the same thing, whether it's a harness, a leash, a branch, in a bush. All do the same thing. So let me show you for a slip leash. You've got it high up on her neck, right behind her ears, and then this one's got a little tab that just goes whoop and slides down so it's snug. And then it's also got a little clasp on there that keeps it from getting too tight. It's not at the right spot just yet, but I'm actively paying attention while it's not. So now we add a little bit of leash pressure in any of the directions. That can be anywhere around her, but the goal is not to move her. She should not be able to be moved by the pressure. I'm just going to add a little bit of tension. Yes! And when she releases it, she gets a mark and reward. Basically what we're doing is we're conditioning her to what we want her to actually do when she feels pressure. Yes! You went too far. She's too good at this. There, so there's a little bit more stable. I'm just going to wait. I'm not pulling her. Yes! I'm not expecting her to move all the way over to where my hand is. All I want is for her to release that tension. It's the only thing I want. Nope. Keep my hands out of my bag. I've got a bad habit of sneaking my hand in there every once in a while, or pre-having snacks in my hand. So the goal then is that we can do this. And we can just walk her around on this nice loose leash, inside or outside. But unfortunately, this does not transfer very easily outside, where there are all kinds of other things that she wants to go to. So we'll probably practice this in the backyard tomorrow morning, and then hopefully start being able to work on it outside, because I'd love to transition her to the slip leash over the harness so that we can work on that pulling. But until she is set on that, she will stay on the harness, because I don't want her hurting herself on this one by pulling too much. But that is about what we've got for you right now. We're going to hang out for a little bit while we finish editing this video, now that I have this part, and then eat the rest of her dinner time. Time to go in the yard, time to play. You just want to know what sounds are coming from over there. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Message me if you have any questions.